Date October 17, 2025. Flight number Northern Atlantic Airways Flight 772. Aircraft Boeing 777-300ER. Route London to New York City. Departure time *8:45 p.m. Weather heavy jet stream turbulence over the Atlantic, scattered thunderstorms. Crew *2 pilots, 11 cabin crew. Passengers 312 souls on board. It was supposed to be just another overnight Atlantic crossing. Captain Daniel Mercer, a veteran with 18,000 flight hours, had flown this route hundreds of times. First Officer Elena Vasquez, sharp and calm under pressure, was on her final command upgrade. The passengers settled in. Business travelers opened laptops. Families watched movies. Children slept. And in seat 18A sat a young woman named Emma Hale. Quiet. Headphones in. Eyes closed. To everyone else, she was invisible. But then, 43 minutes after takeoff, the first warning sounded. Date October 17, 2025. Flight number Northern Atlantic Airways Flight 772. Aircraft Boeing 777-300ER. Route London to New York City. Departure time *8:45 p.m. Weather heavy jet stream turbulence over the Atlantic, scattered thunderstorms. Crew *2 pilots, 11 cabin crew. Passengers 312 souls on board. It was supposed to be just another overnight Atlantic crossing. Captain Daniel Mercer, a veteran with 18,000 flight hours, had flown this route hundreds of times. First Officer Elena Vasquez, sharp and calm under pressure, was on her final command upgrade. The passengers settled in. Business travelers opened laptops. Families watched movies. Children slept. And in seat 18A sat a young woman named Emma Hale. Quiet. Headphones in. Eyes closed. To everyone else, she was invisible. But then, 43 minutes after takeoff, the first warning sounded #scene 21, the woman who didn't exist. 3 days after the emergency landing at Gander, investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board and military intelligence began digging into Emma Hale's identity. But there was a problem. She didn't exist. No birth certificate. No passport records. No tax records. Nothing. The passport she used to board Flight 772. Real. Authentic. Government issued. But linked to a person who had died 11 years earlier. Inside the cold investigation room, Agent Ryan Cole stared at the screen. Who was on that plane? Nobody had an answer. But then, the cockpit recorder revealed something they missed. A whisper. Emma's voice. It wasn't supposed to happen yet. And suddenly, this wasn't just an aviation mystery anymore. It was something far deeper. #scene 22, the forgotten program. Deep inside a classified archive beneath Washington, D.C., military officials opened files sealed for over 20 years. Program name: Project Guardian Wing *, an experimental Cold War-era initiative. Its purpose: train select civilians in advanced aviation survival techniques. Not pilots. Passengers. The idea was simple. If every pilot failed, someone on board could save the aircraft. But the program was shut down after psychological instability was reported in trainees. Most records destroyed. Except one file. Subject 18A. Emma Hale. The exact same seat she occupied on Flight 772. Coincidence? No one believed that anymore. But then, they found surveillance footage from boarding. And what they saw froze everyone. Emma looked directly into the airport camera and smiled, as if she knew. Scene 23. The F-22 pilots speak. At United States Air Force debriefing, Raven 1 and Raven 2 were questioned for 8 straight hours. Why did they request clearance in her name? Raven 1 finally answered. Because we were told if we ever heard that voice, protect it. The room fell silent. That order came from a secret standing directive. Signed in 2003. The directive was only one sentence. If Subject 18A resurfaces, preserve at all costs. But preserve from what? That's when Raven 2 dropped the real bombshell. She wasn't just trained to fly. She was trained to stop something. Nobody understood. Until radar data revealed Flight 772 was never the target. Something else was following them. Scene 24, the shadow aircraft. Radar analysts replayed the Atlantic route. And there it was. A second object. Unidentified. No transponder. No flight plan. Matching Flight 772's altitude. Keeping exact distance for 47 minutes. Military speed. Impossible precision. But after Emma entered the cockpit, the object disappeared, as if its mission had failed. Captain Mercer watched the footage. His hands shook. That's what I saw on departure. The ghost signal. It wasn't from them. It was from that aircraft. But then investigators found something worse. It wasn't an aircraft. Its movement defied physics. Scene 25, the notebook. Emma's notebook was recovered under seat 18A. Inside, equations, flight paths, emergency frequencies, and one chilling sentence written over and over. October 17, the breach begins. That was the date of Flight 772. One page contained coordinates. When investigators mapped them, they pointed to the middle of the Atlantic, exactly where the first electrical failure began. A search vessel was sent. 3 days later, they found wreckage, but not from Flight 772, from an aircraft that officially never existed. Scene 26, black box within a black box. Inside the wreckage, they found another flight recorder. Its timestamp was impossible, dated 6 days in the future. The recording began with static, then a pilot screaming, then Emma's voice. Calm. Clear. This is the first timeline. It failed. Investigators stopped breathing. Timeline. What did that mean? And why was her voice on a future recording? The room turned cold. Because if that recorder was real, Flight 772 wasn't an accident. It was a correction. Scene 27, Captain Mercer remembers. Recovering in hospital, Captain Mercer remembered something. Before collapsing, Emma had visited the cockpit. 10 minutes before takeoff, she asked one question. If both engines fail over water, where would you go? At the time, Mercer laughed. Nah. He couldn't stop shaking. Because that exact scenario almost happened. And nobody knew how she knew. Unless she'd seen it before. Scene 28, the hunt for Emma. Global agencies searched. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Central Intelligence Agency. Interpol. Nothing. No face recognition. No border crossings. No digital trace. It was as if she vanished into air. Until 6 months later, a passenger on a flight from Tokyo to Sydney reported seeing her. Seat 14C. Looking out the window. Writing in the same notebook. The flight landed. She was gone again. But one sentence remained written on the tray table. Not finished. Scene 29, the real purpose. Project Guardian Wings creator finally came forward. Dr. Malcolm Vane, age 83. He confessed. Emma was the final prototype, not just for aviation survival, but predictive memory. A mind trained to recognize future disaster patterns before they happen. A human black box. The goal: prevent catastrophic chain events. But Emma became too accurate, too dangerous, too unpredictable. So they buried her. Or tried to. But now she was back. Because something bigger was coming. And Flight 772 was only the beginning. Scene 30, the next signal. 1 year later. 3:14 a.m. Military radar over the Pacific detected the same impossible object. Same speed. Same movement. Same ghost code. And then, one radio transmission. A female voice. Weak. Urgent. This is Emma Hale. I need fighters now. The operator froze. Because behind her voice were hundreds of screaming passengers. And one terrifying alarm. Pull up, terrain, terrain. Black screen. To be continued. This sets up part 3 with an even bigger mystery, deeper conspiracy, and another airborne disaster. Scene 30, the signal from Greenland. 48 hours after Flight 772, intelligence satellites detected something impossible. A weak emergency beacon. Origin: a frozen military, ruined beneath the ice of Greenland. Not on any public map. Not in any civilian records. The code was ancient. A dormant signal tied to Project Guardian. And there was only one living person who could activate it. Emma Hale. Inside a dark military command room, analysts replayed the signal. Every 6 minutes. Same pulse. Same rhythm. Almost like a heartbeat. But embedded in the signal was a message. Coordinates. And one sentence. They found the vault. No one knew what vault. But the oldest officers in the room went silent. Because 20 years earlier, they buried something there. Something never meant to wake up again. Scene 31, Raven team recalled. The 2 Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor pilots, Raven 1 and Raven 2, were immediately recalled. This time, not for interception, for extraction. Their orders were simple. Find Emma. Bring her back alive. No matter what. Raven 1 looked at the file. Emma Hale. Subject 18A. Status: presumed inactive. He laughed bitterly. She was never inactive. Raven 2 asked, "What's in Greenland?" Raven 1 didn't answer. Because he already knew. A hidden bunker. A place built after the Cold War. Designed for one purpose: to survive the end of aviation itself. And buried inside, the world's most dangerous flight system. Scene 32, First Officer Vasquez joins. Back in New York City, Alina Vasquez couldn't sleep. Emma's voice haunted her. Her precision. Her calm. Her knowledge. Then military officers arrived at her apartment. No warning. No explanation. Just one question. Did Emma tell you anything? Vasquez remembered one line. Spoken just before landing. This was only the beginning. That was enough. By sunrise, Vasquez was on a military transport headed north. Why? Because Emma trusted her. And in this mission, trust was everything. But Alina didn't know the truth yet. She wasn't just a witness. She was part of the plan. Scene 33, the frozen vault. Under 30 feet of ice, Emma walked alone. A flashlight in one hand. Her father's notebook in the other. The bunker was ancient. Steel doors. Dead computers. Rusting control panels. But in the center, one system was still alive. A glowing navigation core. Project Guardian's final prototype. Known only as Astra. Astra was no normal system. It could predict aviation disasters before they happened. Not hours before. Weeks. Sometimes months. Emma touched the screen. It came alive instantly. Recognized. Authorized. And then Astra spoke. Welcome back, Subject 18A. Emma froze. Because no one should have restarted it. No one. Scene 34, the truth about her father. A hidden video played. Her father appeared. Older. Tired. Afraid. Emma, if you're seeing this, I failed. He explained everything. Project Guardian wasn't just training. It was prediction. Astra analyzed every flight path, with her pattern and human error probability. It could see disasters before they happened. But governments wanted to weaponize it. To control skis. To control wars. Her father tried to destroy it. But failed. Before dying, he hid Emma. Trained her. Prepared her. For this moment. And then the final line. They will come for Astra. Do not let them take it. Emma's hands trembled. Because she now understood. Flight 772 wasn't random. It was Astra warning her. Scene 35, the hunters. Outside the vault, snowstorms raged. But Emma wasn't alone. Thermal sensors detected movement. 6 armed operatives. Not military. Private. Silent. Professional. Their mission. Take Astra. Kill Emma. One operative radioed. Target confirmed. Emma heard it. She shut off the light. Everything went black. Above her. Footsteps. Closer. Closer. And then. Gunfire. Raven team had arrived. The battle for Astra had begun. Scene 36, dogfight above the ice. In the sky above Greenland, enemy aircraft appeared. Unmarked stealth drones. Vast. Deadly. The F-22s engaged. Missiles locked. Flares deployed. Raven 2 shouted. 3 drones on my 6. Raven 1 rolled hard. Fired. 1 exploded. But 2 remained. Below them, Elena Vasquez watched from the transport plane. Helpless. Until she saw Astra's live feed. It was predicting the dogfight. Every move. Every missile. Every death. And one thing became clear. Astra wasn't just predicting. It was learning. Scene 37, the choice. Inside the vault, Emma reached Astra's core. A single command flashed. Transfer or destroy. If transferred, Astra could save millions. But in the wrong hands, it could become the deadliest aviation weapon ever built. Elena arrived. She looked at Emma. Destroy it. Emma hesitated. Because Astra showed her visions. Future crashes. Thousands dead. Unless it survived. But if it survived, so would the people hunting it. Time was running out. Outside, explosions shook the ice. Emma had seconds. And one impossible choice. Scene 38, the betrayal. Raven 1 entered. Weapon drawn. But not at the enemy. At Emma. At Elena. He wasn't there to save Astra. He was there to steal it. For years. He had been working for the private network hunting Guardian. He smiled. You were always the key, Emma. Everything made sense. Flight 772. The sabotage. The intercept. He wasn't protecting her. He was tracking her. Emma stepped back. Heart racing. Astra's alarms screamed. The ice above began cracking. The bunker was collapsing. And Raven 1 pulled the trigger. Scene 39, the fall into ice. The bullet missed. Elena tackled him. Both crashed into steel. Emma hit destroy. Astra began overload. 30 seconds. Outside. Raven 2 fought the last drone. Inside. The vault shook violently. Emma dragged Elena toward the exit. Raven 1 screamed behind them. Trapped. The entire bunker cracked open. Ice collapsed. The sea swallowed everything. And Astra disappeared into darkness forever. Or so they believed. Scene 40, the final message. Weeks later. Official reports called it a classified Arctic incident. No details. No survivors listed. Emma vanished again. Elena returned home. Changed forever. Then one night, her phone lit up. Unknown number. One text. No words. Only coordinates. And a flight number. Flight 903. Departure, Dubai. Destination, Singapore. Seat booked. 18A. Elena stared. Because attached to the message was a photo. Emma. Alive. Standing beside a new aircraft. And behind her, on the fuselage, one word. ASTRA. She hadn't destroyed it. She had taken it. And somewhere in the skis, the mission had only just begun. Ending. Some say Emma Hale became a ghost of the skis. A passenger who appears before disaster. A shadow in seat 18A. A warning no, one understands until it's too late. But intelligence files tell a different story. She isn't running. She's hunting. Tracking threats before they happen. Stopping crashes before the world even knows. And every time radar catches an unexplained aircraft. Every time a pilot hears a strange voice on emergency frequency. They ask the same question. Is Emma on board? Because if she is, something terrible is about to happen. And someone is about to be saved. # scene 41, boarding the last flight. December 3, 2025. At Dubai International Airport, Flight 903 prepared for departure. Aircraft. Airbus A351-000. Destination. Singapore. Passengers on board. 287. Crew. 12. Weather. Clear skies. Perfect visibility. A peaceful night. But Elena Vasquez knew better. She stared at the boarding list. Seat 18A. Emma Hale. Confirmed. No disguise. No false name. This time, Emma wanted to be found. Elena boarded as a passenger. No uniform. No rank. Just questions. At gate C14. Emma sat alone. Same leather jacket. Same notebook. But this time, she smiled. Like she had been expecting her. Elena sat beside her. And asked the question that had haunted her for weeks. Why this flight? Emma answered quietly. Because this one doesn't land unless we stop it. And just like that, the final mission began. # scene 42, Astra awakens. At 38,000 feet over the Arabian Sea, Emma opened a hidden tablet. Astra. Still alive. Not destroyed. Transferred. Rebuilt. Smaller. Smarter. Faster. It scanned Flight 903 in real time. Fuel systems. Engine temperatures. Passenger biometrics. Pilot stress levels. Weather. Everything. And then, red alert. Astra predicted total aircraft loss in asterisk 19 minutes asterisk. Probability 97.4%. Cause unknown. Elena felt cold. How? Emma stared at the screen. It's already on board. Not mechanical. Not weather. Something else. Something human. And somewhere in the cabin. The countdown had already started. # scene 43, the man in 27C. Emma moved fast. Row by row. Scanning faces. Watching heart rates. Astra highlighted one passenger. Seat 27C. Male. Traveling alone. No checked baggage. No digital history. Fake identity. Emma stopped. The man looked up. And smiled. He knew her. Elena froze. It was Raven 1. Alive. He survived Greenland. And he wasn't alone. 3 more operatives stood up across the cabin. Spread out. Positioned. Coordinated. This wasn't a hijacking. It was retrieval. They wanted Astra. And they were willing to bring the aircraft down to get it. # scene 44, cockpit breach. Without warning, the operatives moved. One rushed forward. Another jammed cabin communications. A third attacked a flight attendant. Passengers screamed. Panic exploded. Emma ran toward the cockpit. Elena behind her. Inside, Captain Ibrahim Rahman fought to secure the door. But the electronic locks failed. Astra flashed. Cockpit access, C1PROMICD. The door burst open. Raven 1 entered. Gun raised. The captain turned. And was shot. The aircraft rolled violently. The first officer grabbed controls. Warning alarms screamed. Emma stepped forward. Raven smiled. Looks like you're flying again. # scene 45, engine failure by design. Raven revealed the truth. Explosive devices had been placed inside both engine control units. Timed. Remote triggered. One already armed. At 35,000 feet. No safe diversion. No time. No options. Astra calculated impact zones. Thousands on the ground if they crashed. Emma realized the terrifying plan. Raven wasn't trying to steal Astra. He wanted to expose it. By causing the biggest aviation disaster in history. Live. Global. Unstoppable. And blaming Emma. # scene 46, the fight for control. The cockpit became war. Elena fought one operative. The first officer held the controls. Raven aimed at Emma. But Emma knew his moves. Every move. Astra predicted them. In her ear. Step. Turn. Strike. Block. She disarmed him. But he laughed. Because he had already armed Engine 2. Timer. 4 minutes. And then, Engine 1 failed. The aircraft dropped. Violently. Passengers slammed into ceilings. Screams filled the cabin. Flight 903 was falling. # scene 47, the dead stick descent. Both engines gone. Total silence. No thrust. Just wind. Emma took control. Again. An impossible glide. Altitude. 29,000 feet. Nearest runway. None. Only ocean. Astra found one option. An abandoned military strip on an island south of India. Runway length. Too short. Condition. Unknown. Chance of survival. 18%. Elena looked at Emma. Emma replied. That's enough. But Raven was still alive. And still fighting. # scene 48, sacrifice. Raven lunged for Astra. Alina intercepted him. They crashed into the emergency hatch. The door blew open. Wind roared. Raven grabbed Alina, both hanging over darkness. Emma reached for her. Alina looked at Emma, tears in her eyes, and said, "Land this plane." She let go, taking Raven with her, vanishing into the black ocean below. Emma screamed, but there was no time. The island was ahead, fast approaching. Too fast, too low, too late. Scene 49, the final landing. No engines, no second chance, no go-around. Emma lined up the runway. Rain, crosswinds, darkness, Astra guiding every angle. 200 feet, 100 feet, 50. Impact. The aircraft slammed down hard. Gear collapsed. Sparks exploded. The fuselage tore across wet concrete. Fire erupted. But it stopped. Silence. Then, breathing. People alive. Passengers crying. Hugging. Praying. Emma sat motionless, hands shaking. She had done it. Again. But at a cost. Scene 50, the last truth. Rescue teams arrived by dawn. Survivors were evacuated. 287 lives saved. Investigators found Raven's files. And the final truth. Project Guardian wasn't the first. Astra wasn't the only system. There were others. Hidden. Active. Watching. Waiting. And Emma was the last person who knew where. Before disappearing once again, she left one final message in the cockpit recorder. "If the sky calls me again, I'll answer." And then she vanished. No footprints. No cameras. Nothing. Only seat 18A. Empty once more. Waiting. Final ending. Emma Hale was never just a passenger. She was never just a survivor. She was the final guardian of the skis. A girl trained to face disasters before they happened. To stop tragedies no one else could see. Flight 772. Greenland. Flight 903. 3 impossible events. 3 miracles. 1 name. And somewhere tonight, on some flight crossing dark skis, there may be a quiet passenger in seat 18A. Watching. Waiting. Listening. Because when the next disaster comes, she'll be there. And if you hear fighter pilots request clearance in her name, it means the nightmare has already begun. But survival still has a chance. The end.